Hey, what is up, you guys, and welcome back to the 423. So, after about a month of hyping it up, the Ace family has returned to YouTube to release the first part of their behind the scenes documentary, The Real Life of the Ace Family. And I'm gonna cut right to the chase, it's really bad. I like the Ace family, and in general, I think a lot of the hate they get is kind of unnecessary, but I just can't ignore how tone deaf and just plain cringy this video is. From the looks of their trailer that came out a few weeks ago, it seemed like this documentary was going to take a look at the unfiltered, negative side to their lives and their careers, but we just didn't quite get there in this first part. The Ace family has been on YouTube for like 2.5, almost 3 years now, and in that time they've lived in 4 different places. So the first part of this documentary is 30 minutes of them going back to visit their 2 old apartments and their last house, which is the one that ended up getting robbed. The most obvious problem with this premise is that it just simply hasn't been long enough to do something like this. I mean, they're walking into these apartments that they only left a year ago and acting like it's their childhood home they haven't seen since they were 6. Beside that, they filmed tens, maybe even hundreds of videos in each of these places, so it's not like some in-depth look at the behind the scenes of their life that we haven't seen before. They're showing us these apartments that we've all seen plenty of times and providing no new information about them. I'm sure this could be a fun family activity to go and look at your old apartment together, but it definitely doesn't need to be a part of a highly dramatized documentary. But beyond all that, the biggest problem I have with this is just how tone deaf both Austin and Catherine are. I remember watching an early video of theirs where they talk about how hard it was when they first got pregnant with Elle because Austin couldn't get a job and Catherine only had something like $30,000 saved up, and that told me all I need to know about what they think of as struggling. And this video was just more of the same. They visited their first LA apartment together, which was 600 square feet and $1,500, which to them is clearly some peasant shit. And what's even more annoying is that Austin makes a point to say that they couldn't afford furniture for the first 2 weeks they lived there, so they had to get a blow-up mattress. Call me crazy, but I'm pretty sure most people don't have their apartment fully furnished the second they move in. Now, throughout this, they go on and on about how simple life was and how content they were in such a tiny apartment, and they had such a hard time before because they were living at Austin's dad's house, God forbid, so they definitely couldn't go back to that. Even though it's not really a secret that Austin's family has always been pretty wealthy, and we've seen his dad's house in videos before, so I'm sure living there wasn't as terrible as they're making it out to be. So after less than a year of that poverty, they moved into another apartment that's 1,500 square feet and $3,400 a month, which they emphasized they really could not afford, so they had to really grind on YouTube to make sure they weren't homeless. And according to Austin, that grinding meant filming a YouTube video every other day. I know firsthand that recording and editing and all that is definitely time consuming, but every other day would be at most 4 days a week, and neither of these people have additional jobs. So them acting like posting YouTube videos every other day, which is less than someone with a full-time job, just comes off as really pretentious. Then finally, they go back to visit their third house and complain about the fans and how the constant invasion of their privacy really got to the whole family. Catherine says she couldn't even do simple things like take out the trash because she was scared and there were always people outside. And I am sympathetic to this, but there's a moment where Austin says that Elle asked him once, "Why are those people looking at us?" And they really act like it had to be the most traumatic moment of this child's life. Like, for sure, fans shouldn't have been showing up to their house at all, but why are you looking at us seems like a really normal question for literally any child. So I feel like that shock and awe from Catherine when she was told that is so overdramatic. Also, not to be cynical, but Elle just wasn't speaking in complete sentences when they lived in their last house, so I have a hunch that this exact interaction between Austin and his daughter probably never even happened. And then the rest of the video is them talking about how much the lack of privacy gets to them and how much happier they were before fame. And even though they obviously have it easier than a whole lot of people, I'm not going to argue that because that's how they feel. This whole documentary is their attempt at getting people to stop talking about all of their controversies and feel some sort of sympathy for them. And if you ask me, this does the exact opposite. The premise of this whole video is two millionaires complaining about how much they were struggling a year ago when they lived in a 1,500 square foot apartment. I mean, the privilege jumped all the way out. I've watched and enjoyed these guys' videos in the past, and I didn't want to hate this one, but as I watched the first part of their documentary, I couldn't help but cringe through the whole thing. I really don't get the trend of people who get rich and famous and try to rewrite history and make it seem like they were extremely poor before all of this happened. And that seems like exactly what's happening in this video. These two have only been famous for like 2 years, so there's just no way they should already be this disconnected from society and how normal people live. If they want to talk to each other about how hard their life was before, they had a nanny and a chef and a maid, fine. But how out of touch do you have to be to think people are going to sympathize with your struggle that sounds a lot like living in the upper middle class? I feel like they probably saw how certain people started to come around to liking Jake Paul after seeing him and Shane Dawson's documentary, and they wanted to have that same sort of reaction, but I just can't imagine this video making anyone over the age of 13 feel sorry for them. But of course, I want to know what you guys think about this. Did you check out the first part of the Ace family's documentary, and did you think it was as poorly thought out and pretentious as I did? Leave your thoughts down below in the comments, subscribe to the 423 for more videos, and if you like this one, just give it a quick thumbs up. That is it for today. I will see you guys next time. Bye.